Captain William Boyd stood his ground as the doors to the Galactic Council chamber opened. His blue uniform was impeccable, his posture perfect. This was humanity's greatest moment. After years of careful space exploration, humans have finally been invited to meet the leaders of the 17 most advanced species in the galaxy. "Remember," he whispered to Admiral Lisa Green beside him, "we are here to make friends, not enemies." Lisa nodded, her gray eyes scanning the huge room. Beings of all shapes and sizes formed a semicircle on raised platforms. Some had too many eyes. Others had skin that changed color. Some appeared to float above their seats. "The human delegation can approach," boomed a voice from speakers scattered around the room. William and Lisa advanced with slow, careful steps. 3 other humans followed behind them. The floor was made of some transparent material that showed stars moving beneath his feet. William tried not to look down. "We welcome the representatives of Earth," said a tall, purple being with 4 arms. "I am Grand Counselor Zexavady of the Galactic Council. We have been observing your species for some time." William bowed slightly. "We are honored to be here. Humanity extends a hand in friendship and peaceful cooperation." A low rumble of what sounded like laughter spread throughout the room. William felt his face heat up. "How typical," said a red-skinned creature with spikes on its back. "Humans speak of peace before anything else." "Ambassador Vrothar speaks the truth," said another alien with glowing blue eyes. "We watch as your species explores space, so slowly, so carefully, always sending robots first, always choosing to retreat when faced with the unknown." William kept his smile, even though it was getting harder. "We believe in thorough research and minimizing risks to all forms of life." More laughter followed. "You mean you fear death," said Ambassador Vrothar. His voice was like stones clashing. "Your species clings to life as if it were something precious. You negotiate instead of fighting. You compromise instead of conquering." Admiral Lisa Green stepped forward. Although shorter than William, she somehow seemed to fill more space. "With respect," she said, her voice firm, "caution should not be confused with cowardice. Humans value life. Yes, we seek peaceful solutions when possible, but that doesn't mean we won't defend ourselves if necessary." The Grand Advisor waved 2 forehands dismissively. "Yes, yes, we also reviewed its military capabilities. Quite primitive. Their most advanced weapons would barely damage the shields of our smallest ships." The council chamber was filled with more open laughter now. William felt his fists clenched. He forced them to relax. Maybe Lisa said her words while cutting off the laughter. "There are things about humans that you still don't understand." Oh, the Grand Advisor's big eyes slowly blinked. "And what would they be, Admiral Green?" Lisa smiled slightly. "That's the point. You don't know what you don't know." Silence fell for a moment before Ambassador Vrothar burst into what sounded like coughing laughter. "The little human threatens us. How fun." The Grand Counselor raised his hand, asking for silence. After careful consideration, the Council decided to grant humanity protected species status. "This means you will be able to keep your current territories, but expansion beyond your solar system will require Council approval. You will benefit from our protection and guidance as you mature." William felt his jaw tighten. Protected species was a diplomatic way of saying that children need supervision. "The Council's generosity is remarkable," he said carefully. "Don't mistake our kindness with weakness." The Grand Counselor added, "Those who defy the advice soon regret it." As William and Lisa turned to leave, the laughter resumed behind them. Lisa walked stiffly, her back straight as a stick. "This didn't go well," William whispered. Lisa's eyes were cold as she responded, "No, that didn't happen. But they will learn their mistakes soon." The human delegation left the chamber. The sound of alien laughter following them down the long hallway. 6 months have passed since the first meeting with the Galactic Council. The Earth government has built a special room for alien communications in the White House. President Olivia Martinez sat at the large round table, facing the hologram of Grand Counselor Zexba. His purple face showed no emotion as he spoke. "The Council decided that humans are not using their resources well enough," he said. "You will hand over control of your lunar mines and Mars colonies to Council representatives. We will show you how to properly manage these operations." President Martinez kept her face calm even though anger burned inside her. "This is quite sudden, Grand Counselor. These facilities represent years of human labor and investment. However, They operate at only 40% of possible efficiency, Zexpa said. Their primitive methods waste valuable materials the galaxy needs. A red-skinned figure appeared next to Zexpa. It was Ambassador Vralfar. Maybe humans are afraid to refuse, he said with a sound similar to sharpening stones. After all, they always choose the safe path. President Martinez straightened up. Earth requests time to prepare for this transition. 3 months would allow us to adequately inform your representatives about our operations. The aliens looked at each other. Vralfar made that coughing laugh again. 3 months are given, Zexpa said. Our fleet of drakes will position themselves close to your solar system to ensure a smooth delivery. The hologram disappeared. The room was silent for a moment. General Chris Duncan banged his fist on the table. They are taking our colonies, and we will only ask for more time. President Martinez stood up. The council sees what we want them to see, General. She walked over to a small panel on the wall and placed her hand on it. The panel glowed blue and then green. Computer, activate Thunderbolt protocol, she said clearly. Clearance, Martinez, Alpha 74. Thunderbolt protocol activated, said an artificial voice. The large screen on the wall lit up, showing a man in a dark uniform. He had a short beard and serious eyes. Commander John Rivera reporting from Triton Base, Madam President. John, the situation developed as we predicted, Martinez said. The council made its decision. They gave us 3 months. Are we ready? Commander Rivera nodded. The fleet is 92% ready. We can have all ships operational within 8 weeks. Good. Remain on standby and continue preparations. Keep all communications under ghost protocols. The screen went dark. General Duncan looked at the president with new respect. You were waiting for this, he said. From the moment our scouts first detected alien signals, we have been preparing, she replied. The public knows about our official space program. The cautious one. The one who makes the council think we are weak. She touched another panel, and a 3D map of the solar system appeared, showing hundreds of tiny dots hidden throughout the asteroid belt and around several planets. They don't know about it, she said. Our true fleet. Throughout the solar system, hidden doors have opened on the surfaces of asteroids and moons. Inside hidden bases, men and women in dark uniforms moved with determination. Ships that naked they had never seen the light of day and were turned on. The weapons were loaded. Systems have been checked. On Neptune's moon Triton, Commander Rivera walked through a huge underground hangar. The ceiling was hundreds of meters high. Engineers worked on ships that looked nothing like the clunky craft that Earth officially used for space travel. These were elegant, dark, and built for war. Chief Engineer Susan Miller approached him with a tablet. The Ghost unit is fully operational on all vessels, she said. The Valkyrie won't see us coming. What about our weapons systems? Rivera asked. Better than anything the Council has ever seen her be before, she replied with a small smile. They think we are primitive. They are about to learn how wrong they are. Meanwhile, at the edge of the solar system, the Valkyrie fleet appeared, 20 large warships positioning themselves to enforce the Council's demands. They did not expect resistance. They were in for a surprise, deep below the cloud cover of Venus. In a facility unknown to most humans, Chief Engineer Susan Miller watched her team make final adjustments to the flagship of Earth's hidden fleet. The huge ship, called Defiance stretched nearly a kilometer in length. Its dark hull absorbed light rather than reflecting it. Run final tests on the Phantom drive, Susan ordered. Her assistant nodded and began typing commands into a console. The Phantom Impulse was humanity's greatest secret. 20 years ago, a small alien explorer ship crashed in the Arizona desert. The ship and its dead pilot were quickly hidden by government forces. Engineers have spent decades studying technology, improving it, and combining it with human innovation. Phantom unit operating at 100% efficiency, the assistant reported. Susan smiled. Valkyrie ships use standard energy detection systems. They won't see us until it's too late. Across the room, Dr. Alan Foster worked with a team of scientists around a glowing blue cube. The cube pulsed with light as data was transmitted across multiple screens. How is the quantum wall network going? Susan asked as she approached. Alan looked up from his work. Over and above. We ran 17 different battle simulations. QNN predicted enemy movements with 98% accuracy. Can you predict what Valkyrie will do when he realizes we're not as defenseless as they think? Alan smiled. That's the best part. According to our simulations, their training makes them predictable. When surprised, they resort to standard attack patterns. QNN knows them all. On the other side of the solar system, stealthy scout ships moved silently near the Dracari fleet. The small craft were nearly invisible, using both ghost motion technology and special materials that absorbed sensor scans. Inside a reconnaissance ship, Lieutenant Peter Clark and his co-pilot carefully mapped the enemy formation. "They're not even in battle formation," Peter noted. "They are so confident that we are not a threat that they can barely maintain security protocols. It makes our work easier." Her co-pilot responded as she marked another Dracari ship on her mapping system. Its flagship is the big one in the center. It seems they have their shield generators at minimum power to save energy. "Overconfidence will be your undoing," said Peter. The scout ship continued its silent mission, gathering vital information that was transmitted back to the hidden bases using quantum communication channels that the Dracari was unable to detect or intercept. Meanwhile, in Washington, D.C., President Martin meets with Ambassador Kevin Wright T. They sat in a small, secure room deep inside the White House. "The documents are prepared," Wright said, sliding a thin metal box across the table. "They look exactly like surrender papers. Dracari won't suspect anything unusual." Martinez opened the briefcase. Inside was what looked like a simple tablet, but it was much more than that. "Does this contain the activation codes?" she asked. Wright nodded. "When I press this sequence, it will send the signal to all of our ships. The Ghost Fleet will be revealed simultaneously. Dracari will not have time to raise its shields to maximum. And you are willing to embark on this mission. It is extremely dangerous." Wright's face was serious. "Madam President, I volunteered. Someone needs to see the look on their faces when they realize how wrong they are about us." Back on Venus, Commander John Rivera addressed the assembled crew of the Defiance Asterisk. Thousands of men and women stood at attention in the enormous launch area. "Humanity has been preparing for this moment for decades," he said, his voice echoing through the chamber. "While the world was building shopping malls and sports stadiums, we built this fleet. While politicians debated budget cuts, we trained. The Galactic Council believes we are cowards because we are careful. They confuse patience with weakness." He paused, looking at the determined faces before him. "In 2 days, Ambassador Wright will meet with Commander Dracari. When that happens, we will show the galaxy that humanity is not to be underestimated. Prepare your stations. Run your final checks. Soon, we will go to war. Across the solar system, in hidden bases on moons, asteroids, and planets, similar speeches were given. The ships were being fueled. Weapons were being loaded. The Ghost Fleet was awakening. The day of the meeting arrived. The flagship Dracari hovered in space just beyond Earth's moon. It was huge, with sharp angles and visible gun plates along the hull. Compared to this monster, the small human ship approaching looked like a toy. Inside the bus, Ambassador Kevin Wright adjusted his tie. The metal box containing what appeared to be delivery documents sat on the seat next to him. His heart beat faster, but his hands were steady. "We are being greeted by the Dracari ship," said the pilot. "Pass them," Kevin replied. A harsh voice filled the cabin. "Human vessel, you are authorized to dock in Bay 4. Any deviation from your approach trajectory will result in immediate destruction." "Understood," said the pilot, following his guidance. Kevin took a deep breath. Everything now depended on his performance. The ship slid into the Dracari ship's massive docking bay. Armed guards waited as the doors opened and the boarding ramp extended. "Remember," Kevin whispered to his pilot. "As soon as I enter, return to a safe distance immediately." The pilot nodded. "Good luck, sir." Kevin walked down the ramp with his suitcase in hand. The Dracari guards were tall, with gray skin and yellow eyes. They wore armor that made them appear even larger. They searched him roughly, but the case passed the examinations. It did not contain conventional weapons. "Follow," ordered a guard. Kevin was led down long hallways to a large room. Commander Dracari was sitting on a raised platform. He was bigger than the others, with red markings on his scales. Then said the commander, his voice like gravel. "Humans send a little man to deliver their world." Kevin placed the briefcase on a table and opened it. "I bring the transfer documents requested by the Galactic Council." The commander made a sound similar to stones clashing. Kevin realized it was a laugh. 3 months, you asked. 3 months late. For what? To prepare these papers. The commander stood, towering over Kevin. Your species is truly pathetic. No fight. No resistance. Just render. Kevin's face remained calm. We simply recognized the situation as it was. And what was it? Human. An opportunity, Kevin said softly. The commander bowed. Speak up, Howard. I can't hear your whispers. Kevin looked directly into the alien's yellow eyes. I said, an opportunity. See, appearances can be deceiving. He pressed a sequence on the box's tablet, but a small light flashed green. What is that? Demanded the commander. Kevin smiled. This is humanity's response to its demands. Throughout the solar system, hidden ships received the signal. Ghost tours off. Ships appeared where there had once been empty space, within the Dracari fleet, around it, behind it. Hundreds of them. Weapons ready. Aboard the Challenge Commander Revere gave the order. All ships perform Phase 1. From each human ship, small devices are launched towards the nearest Dracari ship. They attach themselves to the hulls, unnoticed by the aliens who were still trying to understand what was happening. Commander Dracari's communication device rang urgently. Sir, enemy ships have appeared throughout our formation. Impossible, roared the commander. He turned to Kevin with fury in his eyes. What trick is this? It's not cheating, Kevin replied calmly. Strategy. In the Challenge, Susan Miller watched her console as devices connected to the Dracari ships sent confirmation signals. All EMP devices installed, she reported. Activate the ordered Revere. Susan pressed a button. On the other side of the space, the small devices activated simultaneously. Powerful electromagnetic pulses tore through the Dracari ships. The lights flickered and went out. The engines shut down. Weapon systems went offline. In the commander's chamber, the lights were turned off. The emergency systems were activated, leaving the room under a dim red light. What have you done? The commander growled, reaching for Kevin. We disabled your ships, Kevin said, stepping back. Don't worry, life support will continue to work. We are not monsters. Outside, half of the Dracari fleet floated helplessly in space. The remaining ships, taken by surprise, attempted to form a defensive pattern. But the human ships were already on the move, faster and more agile than the aliens expected. Precision hits disabled weapons and engines without completely destroying ships. Sir, said a communications officer in the Defiance, the remaining Dracari ships are retreating. River noted. Let them go. We want survivors to report what happened here. Commander Dracari watched on the emergency screens as his mighty fleet was humiliated by the supposedly cowardly humans. You're going to pay for this, he growled at Kevin. The full power of the Council will descend upon your world. Kevin nodded. We are counting on it. News of Dracari's defeat spread quickly across the galaxy. On the Galactic Council's massive space station, representatives of the 17 dominant species met in an emergency session. The room buzzed with angry voices. Grand Counselor Zexva hit his desk with 2 forearms. Silence. We must face this crisis with clear minds. Ambassador Vralfar's spine stood on end. Humans have deceived us. They pretended to be weak while building a secret fleet. This deception cannot continue. A hologram appeared in the center of the chamber. It showed the damaged Dracari ships limping back to their home system. Half of its fleet was disabled without a single ship being destroyed, said Council strategist Zex Toril. Humans used electromagnetic pulse weapons, primitive technology, but deployed with surprising effectiveness. Reentant. It was a lucky attack, growled the Dracari representative. They caught our ships with their shields down. It won't happen again. Zexva nodded. We will send the Council's elite force to Earth. 100 of our most powerful warships. They will crush this human rebellion once and for all. What the Council didn't know was that the meeting had unwanted guests. In a maintenance tunnel above the chamber, Colonel Mary Patterson and her team of 5 humans lay listening through special devices. They wore tight black uniforms that blocked vital sign scanners. They're sending in their big guns, whispered Lieutenant Frank Cooper, the team's communications specialist. Maria nodded. Keep recording. We need everything they say. The Council continued its meeting. Humans must learn a lesson, said Vralfar's ambassador. Your punishment will show all protected species what happens when they defy us. Perhaps we should review our approach to protected species in general. A small, bluish-skinned representative suggested. If humans could hide their true capabilities, perhaps others. Nonsense. Zexva interrupted. The others are even more primitive. Humans are an exception. Once they are resolved, we will tighten our control over all protected worlds. Mary signaled her team to move. They crept silently through the tunnels until they reached a large room filled with flashing equipment. This was the Council's main communications center. Get ready here, Mary ordered. Cooper, can you access their system? Frank nodded, connecting a small device to the main console. Their security is good, but our AI is better. I'm in. Download everything, said Mary. Special focus on your communications with protected worlds. Frank worked quickly. Colonel, you need to see this. Mary looked at his screen. It showed messages between council members and mining companies. Plans to take resources from protected planets, labor camps, large-scale exploration. They were using protected status as a cover to take whatever they wanted. Frank said, anger in his voice. They declare a protected species and then slowly drain their worlds of resources, keeping them technologically dependent. How many worlds? At least 32 that I can see here. Everyone thinking the council is helping them, but in reality, they are being robbed. Mary's face hardened, letting it all out. Then configure the broadcast package. Frank connected another device. Transmission to all protected worlds will trigger all system alarms. That's why we need to leave before it starts, Mary replied. Set it to 15 minutes. The team worked efficiently, downloading data and configuring transmission. When they were done, Mary led them back through the tunnels to the hidden ship, anchored under the guise of a maintenance ship. As they walked away from the station, Frank activated the transmission. Across the galaxy, on 32 worlds, lightning of all types received the same message. The truth about Galactic Council exploration. Back at the municipal station, the alarm sounded. HFY rushed to the communications center. What is happening? He demanded. Someone accessed our secure files, a technician reported. They are broadcasting to all protected worlds. Hang up. We can't. The system is blocked. On Earth, President Martin watched the transmissions received with satisfaction. On the other side of the screen, messages arrived from other protected worlds. Questions. Anchor. Alliance offers. It worked. She told her advisors that Phase 2 was complete. Colonel Patterson's team obtained the evidence we needed. And the other species? General Duncan asked. Will they join us? Many already want to meet, replied Martin. The Council's band of slaves is disintegrating. In deep space, the Council's elite force prepared to leave. 100 huge warships, armed with the most powerful weapons in the galaxy. Your target, Earth. Their mission, total subjugation. They had no idea that their enemies were no longer just human, but were growing larger by the hour. Jupiter's moon, Yoruba, glowed with blue-white ice under the distant sun. Beneath this frozen surface, humans built a secret base years ago. Now this hidden place served a new purpose. In a large meeting room, carved from ice and rock, representatives of 7 alien species sat around a circular table with human leaders. The room was kept cool to accommodate the different environmental needs of visitors. General Paul Johnson was at the head of the table. His worn face showed the tension of the last few days, but his voice remained strong. Thank you everyone for taking the risk to come here, he said. Each of you represents a world that has suffered under the so-called protection of the Council. A tall, thin alien with gray skin and large black eyes spoke first. I'm a senile of the Tlaxans. For 30 years, we have believed that the advice has helped us develop our civilization. We now know that they were stealing our minerals while keeping us dependent on their technology. The Varini have a similar story, a smaller being covered in short, purple fur. They took our biological research and gave us obsolete medical equipment in exchange. Many of my people died from curable diseases while the Council profited from the work of our scientists. One by one, each representative shared their story. The pattern was the same. Exploitation disguised as assistance, theft disguised as charity. We all believed we were alone, Paul said. The Council kept us apart, told each world that the others were satisfied with the arrangement. They never expected us to communicate directly. Ambassador Linda Harris, an Earth graduate specializing in ticks, stepped forward. What we propose today is an alliance. Together, we can oppose the Council. Separated, we will fall one by one. But how can we fight? Tlaxan asked. The military power of the Council is enormous. Paolo smiled. Each of their worlds has strengths that the Council is unaware of. Just as they underestimated the humans, They underestimated all of you. He pressed a button and a holographic display appeared above the table. It showed technical specifications for Earth's ghost ships and weapons. We will share our technology freely with all Alliance members, said Paul. No secrets between allies. The Tlaxon's big eyes widened. Its phantom drive technology is impressive. We have advanced armor systems that can complement it. Voronegh can offer biological countermeasures, the purple-furred representative added. Ways to temporarily disable enemy crews without causing permanent damage. Around the table, each species began to suggest technologies and strategies with which they could contribute. The mood in the room changed from caution to excitement. Meanwhile, in Earth orbit, Major Diane Scott oversaw the transformation of civilian ships into combat vessels. Workers attached weapons systems and shield generators to cargo carriers and passenger ships. Will they hold up in a real fight? Asked a young officer at the side. They don't need to win battles, Diane explained. They just need to look threatening and divert fire from our main fleet. Across Earth's solar system, similar preparations were underway. Mining ships were equipped with electronic warfare packages. Science vessels have received sensor upgrades to detect enemy movements. No AST Aris Challenge *. Commander Rivera studied battle plans with Admiral Green. The city fleet will arrive in about 2 weeks, he said, and it comes with everything it has. Admiral Green nodded. Good. That means your home worlds will have reduced defenses. Do you think we can beat 100 of your elite warships? To win. Green smiled. No, but we don't need to win this battle. We just need to hold them long enough. Enough time for what? For our new allies to attack their weakly defended core worlds, she replied. The Council never imagined they would face a coordinated attack from multiple directions. Back in Europe, the meeting concluded with a formal agreement. The Freedom Alliance was born. Representatives from each world placed their hands, or equivalent appendages, together in the center of the table. We are together, they said in their various languages. As the alien representatives prepared to return to their worlds with plans and technologies to share, Paul Johnson watched with a mixture of hope and concern. Do you think it will be enough? Linda asked softly. It has to be, replied Paolo. The Council fleet is arriving, and we are running out of time. The day of battle has arrived. The Council's elite force appeared at the edge of the solar system in a flash of light. 100 huge warships, each packed with weapons. They moved in perfect formation towards Earth. On the Asterisk Bridge, Defiance Asterisk, Admiral Lisa Green watched the approaching enemy on the main screen. Her face showed no fear, but her eyes narrowed as she studied his movements. They are exactly where we expected, she said. The quantum neural network's predictions were accurate to within 2%. Commander Riverus was beside her. All ships report ready, Admiral. The converted civilian vessels are in position to draw fire, and Captain Nelson's team is in position and awaiting his command. Lisa nodded. So it's time. All ships, execute defensive pattern Alpha. Throughout the solar system, human ships have positioned themselves. The Council fleet advanced, their massive cannons firing the moment they came into range. Beams of energy cut through space, hitting the shields of converted cargo and passenger ships. Enemy flagship identified, a sensor officer reported. It's the one in the center, twice the size of the others. Lisa's eyes fixed on the huge vessel. That's our target. Tell Captain Nelson to proceed. Captain Richard Nelson and his team of 20 waited in their fast little craft, hidden among the asteroids of the outer belt. Their ship was different from the others, smaller, faster, and equipped with the newest version of the Ghost Drive. We have the Ghost signal, said his communications officer, Laura Wilson. Admiral Green says to proceed. Ricardo took a deep breath. Activate the Phantom Drive. Full power to the engines when we're invisible. The ship disappeared from sensors as it sped toward the heart of the Council fleet. Their mission was almost suicidal. To get close enough to the Council's flagship to deploy a new weapon developed by Dr. Foster's team. How long until they detect us? Richard asked his science officer. The Phantom Drive should last approximately 10 minutes at this output level. We need 8 to reach deployment range. The small ship ran unseen during the massive battle. All around him, beams of energy and missiles crossed space. The human vessels with their new Talaxian shields held up better than expected, but were still at a disadvantage. 5 minutes to reach the target, the pilot reported. Suddenly, their ship shook violently. "We were hit," shouted the engineer. The random fire from one of the municipal ships passed through our location. "Damage report," Richard demanded. "Phantom drive failure. We will be visible in 30 seconds." Richard made a quick decision. "Direct all energy to engines and weapons. If we can't hide, we'll have to be quick." Their ship became visible, a small vessel among the giants of the municipal fleet. Immediately, the enemy ships aimed their guns at them. "Evasive maneuvers," Richard ordered. "We need another 3 minutes to reach deployment range." The ship spun and spun, dodging the energy beams. One hit the rear shields, causing the lights to flicker. "Shields by 40%. The engineer reported. "We won't make it," the pilot said as more enemy ships moved to intercept them. Richard looked at his crew. "We have to. The entire alliance counts on us." Another blow rocked the ship. "Shields by 15%. 2 minutes to deployment range," the scientific officer said. Laura Wilson, the communications officer, suddenly stood up from her post. "I'm opening a channel for all frequencies." "What are you doing?" Richard asked. "Giving us a chance," she replied. She activated the system and spoke clearly, her voice being broadcast to every ship in range. "Attention, Council vessels. This is Lieutenant Laura Wilson from Earth. Listen carefully. We are never afraid to fight. We simply prefer not to. Remember this difference." The unexpected message caused a moment of confusion among the Council ships. Their fire hesitated just long enough for Richard's ship to clear the line. Deployment range achieved. He called the science officer. "Launched the quantum disruptor," ordered Ricardo. A small device was ejected from the ship, speeding towards the Council's flagship. It latched onto the ship's massive hull just as Richard's ship was hit again. "Shields failing. Hull breach on deck 3. Activate the disruptor," Richard said calmly. The science officer pressed a sequence of buttons. The small device on the Council's flagship glowed bright blue, then expanded into a sphere of energy that enveloped the massive ship. Space itself seemed to bend and twist around him. The guns of the Council's flagship fell silent. Their engines died. The same effect spread to the nearest Council ships, incapacitating them without destroying them. "It worked," whispered Richard as his damaged ship floated. The field of quantum disruption worked. A year later, the massive space station that once housed the Galactic Council looked very different. The Great Chamber was rebuilt. Instead of raised platforms for the 17 dominant species, there was now a single large circular table. Around him sat representatives from over 50 worlds, including the ancient protected species. Both Ambassador Craig Mitchell of Earth rose to address the assembled delegates. The room fell silent. "A year ago, we fought for our freedom against those who saw caution as weakness and patience as compliance," he said. "Today we come together not as rulers and subjects, but as equals." Craig held up a document. "The Galactic Agreement we present to you establishes a new framework for interstellar relations, based on mutual respect and cooperation, rather than domination and exploitation." Former Grand Counselor Zexpa sat in a much smaller chair than before. The four-armed alien seemed dwarfed somehow. "And what about those you labeled as criminals?" he asked bitterly. "The former council leaders await their trial like common thieves." The Tlaxian representative stood up. "You are not thieves, Zexpa. Thieves just take possessions. You stole futures. You prevented entire civilizations from reach their potential in order to profit from their resources." "We offer protection," Zexpa protested. "No," Craig said firmly. "You offered a cage disguised as security. The trial will continue next month, and evidence will be presented from all affected worlds." After the meeting, Admiral Lisa Green, President Martins, and representatives of the Freedom Alliance met in a private room. "The new Galactic Assembly is working better than expected," said President Martinez. "More worlds join each month as news spreads." "And the former kind of council?" asked Lisa. "The majority accepted the new reality," replied Senal of the Tlaxians. "Only a few radicals still resist." Representative Verini nodded. "They are learning that cooperation brings more benefits than conquest." President Martinez looked around the table at the various beings gathered there. Some breathed a different air. Some evolved on worlds with twice the gravity of Earth. Some communicated partially through changes in skin color. However, everyone found common ground. "I'm thinking about something," she said. "About why humanity prepared for war for so long while hoping to avoid it." The others turned to her with interest. "Humans have a violent history," she continued. "For thousands of years, We fought each other. Tribe against tribe. Nation against nation. We almost destroyed ourselves more than once, but we learned from those mistakes. She paused, gathering her thoughts. When we looked at the stars, we hoped to find peace. But we prepared for war because we knew what intelligent beings are capable of when they seek power. The Council mistook our desire for peace for fear. They never understood that the most dangerous combatants are often those who know the true cost of combat. Lisa nodded. We build weapons so we don't have to use them. We train for battle so we can avoid it. But when pushed too hard, you respond with unexpected strength. It's over, I sit down. My people are beginning to understand this wisdom. On the station's observation deck, Craig Mitchell stood alone, looking at the stars. Captain William Boyd, who led that first diplomatic mission, joined him. Quite a vision, said William, a different perspective than a year ago. Craig nodded. The Galactic Council laughed at us, called us cowards. Now they understand that choosing peace is not the same as fearing war. Do you think this will last? This new deal? I hope so, Craig replied. The trial of the former council leaders will be difficult. Someone is punished severely, others prefer mercy. And what do humans want? Guilherme asked. Craig struggled for a moment. Justice, but also a new beginning. The council species are no longer our enemies. They're our neighbors in a very large galaxy. Guilherme smiled. Speaking of large galaxies, long-range scouts have returned from exploring Andromeda. They found something interesting. Friendly, I hope. Unknown. But this time, when we make first contact, we will do so as part of the Galactic Assembly. Not alone. Together, Craig nodded, looking up at the endless stars. This is how you will face whatever comes next. Beyond the station, a ship returned from the depths of space. His crew saw wonders and terrors. And while humanity and its allies celebrated their new peace, new challenges were already emerging from the darkness between the stars. But this time, they would face them as one. The cowards who weren't cowards changed the galaxy forever.